This video is for those of you who may not notice their self-talk. And I think actually that self-talk in itself may not be the right term. Let me explain. What I mean by that is voices in your head that seem like yours, but may not be yours. Let me explain, that might be tricky. I'm talking about voices that you hear about who you are, about not being good enough, about being a loser, very judgmental, very putting you down, very much putting you onto an edge of, well, why am I here? Very much like, well, if I'm not accepted as who I am, which you're not according to these voices, then why would I even live? Now, due to my own experience and due to many other people that I've spoken to during my own, what is it? Like my own journey, I noticed a thing that may scare you. And it's not supposed to scare you. It's supposed to be informative, and it's supposed to give you more ideas of what this is, because it's not simply just you hating you. And, I came to understand that there are certain things out there that may not be nice. And by nice, I mean influences, things that can influence you. And as you already know, there are people around you, there are energies around you that have an influence on you, right? Like if you come into a room and you can feel like everyone is kind of like shut down and doesn't really want to speak, you sense this in the air, right? It's not something where you're like, there is nothing, but you can't really pinpoint what it is, but you notice there is something going on. Now, this is very much similar. It's an experience of mine, actually, where I was quite young and I had a lot of these thought forms. I had a lot of thought forms that were really heavy, really, very, very mean, very much in my face of who I am. And I really was angry at my family for a long, long period. And so, when things come up over and over again and you're like, I actually really thought that I've healed a couple of things here, but it seems like we are going around the same tail again, right? Then you may question, like, did I reach the same, or did I actually access the right angle? Did I actually find the right position where I needed healing in the beginning, right? So for me, it was like being angry at my family, while nowadays I see it as like, well, if I was heavily influenced through some beings that were not necessarily in my favor, let's name it like this, then my family was not really involved, weren't they? So I'm not just putting this out there, and you put this into your own life, into your own, like, is it really true that all my family was doing this, or my sister was doing this, my brother was doing this, they were saying this to me, they did this or they did that? I'm not questioning whether that's true. I'm more or less questioning, like, is there something else involved as well, right? And so everyone decides on themselves on what they think and believe is true. Now, if you go up in consciousness, we are all one, and these darker beings don't really exist. But if you go into 3D reality, then it becomes quite real. And I've encountered this a couple of times actually now, where I was really like, ooh, this is really, really heavy. And I don't mean heavy like ego heavy. I don't mean heavy like a lot of spiritual people are talking about this too. Like, uh, you know, when it gets heavy, then they're like, oh, it's your ego, or it's this, or it's that. And I'm like, I don't know if it sits right. Sometimes when I look at my own situation, and I don't want to talk about other people because it's quite in your face, and it's not really a topic I would usually speak about or feel that's needed. But when I was looking out for some reference points, I was like, after what do I even look for? Like demons? What do I look for? Right? Because I didn't really had a word. I didn't really had the framework for this. So I was really just like seeking that answer. And I really didn't got it until recently, where I realized that most of that self-talk I had was a lot influenced by these darker beings that had nothing to do with my family. Now, one of my core wounds was that my family could not protect me, which I mostly combined with the teachers who were like pushing me to the edge and telling me that I'm not good enough. But that's not the whole story, you see. There's a lot of other things going on behind the scenes that I only came to understand now. That's now like over 25 years later, where I realized there was a lot more in play than I did even notice, you see. So if you treat your pain of self-hate, which is you're not born with that, right? So my question was always like, where's the self-hate coming from? Where is the self-hate coming from if it's not from my closest people? I didn't really believe in that much religion or even demons or all of that. I was just like, ah, you know. And I would suggest the same for you, to keep this very open, but also protect yourself. Like, just because this was my story doesn't mean it's the same for you. And just because I'm speaking this up doesn't mean it's your story. So I want you to understand that the only real thing that I came to understand is that if you heal that self-talk at a place that is actually not the wound itself, you may not be able to heal because you're not reaching the right angle. So when it comes down to those beings, and I was very much afraid of them, I didn't really want to go into it because it's not really something I enjoy. It's not something I want to talk about. It's not something I have great experiences in, but I have my own interactions, and I can definitely say you really got to meet yourself, like really, because fear is what they're feeding off. And if you are someone who has a lot of panic attacks, anxiety, depression, things that weigh you down, things I had, I'm just saying, it may give you a hint. It may not be it may not be it at all, okay? Don't put your finger on it. This is just information. And if it's for you, great. I hope this serves that person who really needs to hear this. And then for those who it's not for, just chuck it in the fucking bucket. Like, literally. So what happens when you encounter these beings, which is not always obvious, okay? Like, it's not it's not like in the movies where you see, oh, this person is black. And, I mean, it was in my thoughts, but I didn't know it was not mine, you see? And at one point, I believed it. I believed what I was hearing in my own voice, which is the tricky part. That's the tricky part. I believed it's true. And I harmed myself. I shamed myself. And I put myself always down. And I thought, well, if even I believe that, it must be true. And it must come from somewhere. So I was angry at my family for doing all of this to me. Now, obviously, a couple of things were from them, like let's not deny that, which is probably also why I believed hardly that all of it was true. The whole story of, they all hate me, they don't want the good for me, they basically was very isolating. It was very isolating. It was very much in my face. It was very much like, you're stupid, you don't belong, you cannot connect. And when you say those things out loud, I mean, with the knowledge I have now, I'm like, yeah, it's obvious. But for me, it was not obvious for a very, very long time. It was not as clear. And so what you really need to do, or what you can do, because it's not really going against them, you can't. But what you can do is learn to be in your sovereignty. What does it mean? Having a clear body, like releasing your anger, releasing your self-doubt, releasing all of that thing to actually be able to see what's going on. See, we are not present at all. Most of the time we are not. We have no clue what is actually going on. We don't know what we don't know. And so when we choose to be in sovereignty, in like all that we are, in fullness. And I mean, you can try this now. Try to call back all that you are and release what is not you. Anything that is not you has to leave here and now. All of this works on your command. All of it works with your intention. All of it works with your focus, with your direction. But the thing is, if you're lost, you have anchor points for those beings. You have places where they can come and they will feed off you. Now, again, you're not gonna, maybe nothing really bad is happening to you or whatever, but it's just a feeling that something doesn't sit right. And it can indeed harm you, like really, really bad. But then I'm also seeing it as chance to learn what it means to be in my own body and owning my body, like feeling healthy in my body, in my brain, in my heart, in my soul, in my pelvis region, like, all the center points where I'm like, they're mine. Like, I owe this. This is me. This is who I am. Claiming your body, claiming who you are, claiming in authority that this is your body, right? Let's do a short recap. If you haven't been born and raised in either way, religion or spirituality, I can raise my hand here. I haven't been neither. So this is not a topic I feel generally like an expert in, and I would never claim myself as that. but it gives you an idea on if this is happening to you. So it's about letting you know that there is maybe something going on with you that you don't know. And I mean that with an openness. I mean that with a kindness and with a maybe that will help you. So if you have thought forms that are heavily negative, that are heavily working on suppressing you, putting you down, things like you will never make it, you're such a loser, you're dumb, you're not pretty, look at you, you ugly, you will never be able to make it in this world, you're a loser, all sort of things that are like this, okay, that have this intensity. Could possibly be that there is something more going on than you can see. So what we know so far from science is that we are heavily influenced by our environment. And our environment includes our family, includes where we grew up, includes what culture we lived in, right? I would extend that and be like, okay, did you actually include the unseen parts of this world? Did you include things that you can't see but that you can feel? For me, it was thought forms that were in my head, but because it was my voice, it was not another voice, I took them as my own. I never saw like somebody else talking to me like this. It felt as my own. It felt as this is really me thinking that. And when I started to heal my past, I started to see and feel that most of it must come from my childhood. Who was responsible for how I grew up? Well, my parents, my caregivers. Now let's put aside that everyone can do or is doing what they can with the knowledge they have. Like, that's a wonderful phrase. But if someone doesn't understand your pain, then you have a hard time to heal that, right? Now, I was always curious because my dad seemed to understand a lot. He seemed to get a long way. Like, we got a long way on my own journey to really get a long way better. So we are great right now. But what I want to say is I never got over that because I was like, where did I got these thought forms from? If not from you, if you never told me that I'm stupid, not underlying, not like, where do I have it from? And I started to recognize, due it to actually a situation that came to me last year, which was very similar, but it was very much more in my face. So there is a possibility that you are influenced by demonic entities. And you can believe that or you can't believe that. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is that if you have those thought forms, you don't need to be afraid. You don't need to run away. Easier said than done, right? What you need to do is to claim your body, to claim your sovereignty, to claim to be home in your body. This is your temple. Nobody gets access to your own temple. It's yours. You did the whole work until now. You did the whole work. You went to school. You went to grow the bones. You did that. Nobody has the allowance to enter your field without your knowledge, without your consent. The problem is we may not be aware of that. So how can you be aware? Well, first of all, you gotta put your distractions away. You gotta learn that you're influenced through everything outside the world. That doesn't need to scare you, but it's about learning that presence is key. And you can't fool being confident to an entity like that, to a demon. You can't say, hey, I'm confident, leave the house. Hey, leave. They will look at you and be like, nah, don't really believe you. Not gonna go anywhere. It's work, actually. I mean, for me, it was work. But it gives you a chance to stand in your sovereignty. You have free will to walk your path. You are not obliged to give any home to that thing. What you need to do is to bless it. Bless it and be like, it's okay. I love you regardless. Don't run away. Just look at it. Bless your field. Don't necessarily need to bless it. You can just bless your field and be like, this is my home. I bless my home. I bless my being. I bless my body. I bless my heart. Bless all your chakras, whatever you want, right? You can call in Jesus if you want, if you feel like that. You can call in your angels if that is supportive of you. Know that it is yours to take and to claim. And all they are basically doing is feeding off from you. Feeding off life force energy. And you can stop that by any time. There is no one who can claim your body. But for me, it felt very, very real. It was not something that I thought is possible until I had again the encounter of that. So I don't want to scare you. I don't want to tell you that I'm an expert in this. I just want to tell you that if you have those thoughts, you can heal from it, but it might be something that you have not considered so far to heal. You know, if you heal all the time your father wound, but it's actually not your father wound, like, you know, it may not work. And so if this video was for you, and if you got something out of it, let me know your experience with that. But I also want to encourage you to live your life in joy and stop focusing on those things. There will also not be any other videos of this, simply because I believe I want to serve humanity with more joyful things and with more peace and ease. But sometimes we have to speak about those things that are a little bit unpleasant. So if this made you feel unpleasant, I'm very sorry. But sometimes I have to speak up, even though I don't really want to. I don't want to make you feel that way. I just want you to be aware. I want you to be aware that those things can be very real. Now, if we look at it from a perspective of a higher dimension, then it's all only in your head, right? But if we go down into your human experience, it does feel like something separate is coming at you, is haunting you. And if you have that experience, know that you are not the only one, and you can definitely leave that behind you. You don't have to accept it for the rest of your life, and you're very much worthy to heal that, to heal those wounds on why you agreed in the first term, why you did this. There is no judgment on it. There is no, oh my God, you entered something. Listen, sometimes you don't even know what you're doing because it's not so obvious. Okay? So take it with ease. Go slow, go steady, and I see you at another time.